It's probably best though that he starts now. People didn't
Yep.
need to know that.
All right. So our first topic. This is in no particular order as well or anything like that. But since we're already on the talk of community warfare, one of the big problems that we have noticed and identified, and thankfully, I wish I wrote down the person's name. Probably should have done that, and I apologize if I miss you out. But that is with the community warfare waiting room problem and picking up player problems. And how do we solve this? So, if some of you are not aware, sometimes people pop into the community warfare drop area and ask if you need one, and of course we're running a 12, so the queue is full for people. So they hop down to the waiting room area, and just when that match ends, a another person comes in. I think it might have been Tigger. Yeah, thank you, Short Bus. Another person pops in. Just just so happens that they pop in just as someone leaves, and they get picked up over the person who asked first. Um, this can cause, of course, some frustration, as some people may or may not know, and it's pretty understandable that it would cause frustration if you're waiting upwards to a half hour, waiting to get that into a group. Now, one of the suggestions that I've come up with, and I want to get people's opinion on this, is if you hop in to a group and you have to wait. I'm thinking about maybe getting rid of the waiting room because some people might not see it. Rather, just add to the end of your name Q1, Q2, Q3, that sort of thing, as in the queue area, and just wait in there. And that way, when someone gets out of the match, they could quickly see who's on the team speak. If they need to fill a spot, they'll see Q1, and that means you're in queue, you're the first person, and then Q2 in the queue, you're the second person, Q3, etc. It might be a better way to organize it, and that way people can see a visual representation of who was actually in the room first and that sort of thing. So what are your guys' feedback on that sort of suggestion? I would love to hear that now. Let's open it up to Joan.
Mostly a question on that. I mean, it's a great idea. My only question is there a way that we can get the TeamSpeak server to assign that automatically?
There probably is. I'm not too familiar with TeamSpeak itself and that sort of thing. The only problem with that is, would it affect only our channels or all of TeamSpeak, because it is the No Guts No Galaxy TeamSpeak. That being said, as we were talking earlier, if we ever do have to get our own TeamSpeak channel, that might be something to look into. But I don't think right off there's anything we can do, at least here. And I'm not sure if there's anything we could do as far as TeamSpeak goes, just to answer your question, as far as my limited knowledge of TeamSpeak is.
Nikolai.
So a problem I'm seeing is you want us to sit in a separate room and pay attention to once in a half hour someone drops by and says they're ready to go. I just don't see that. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here in front of the computer for that long and wait for 1 minute and then get skipped. It just doesn't sound reasonable to me. Wouldn't it be better
You missed the
if you
point,
want to do the
dude.
queue? I understand the point.
That's the point
point
we're
is,
making.
No, you don't.
Nikolai, what you're
Okay.
describing is the current system.
Can I
We're talking
finish?
the new system.
Let him finish.
Yeah.
If you guys want to have the queue system, we don't usually have 40 people on. We have maybe 2 drops going. So people can sit in the drop and put a queue, 1 queue, whatever, on there. And then whenever somebody pops out of a match, they can look over the both and see who is next in line.
That's
But
actually
sitting by
what the
yourself,
suggestion was there. We were going to get rid of the waiting room, and that's the system we propose, is just put Q1, Q2, or whatever that you entered into the channel.
Okay.
So if you come in and someone already has Q1 in their name and you're looking to get in, you just simply put Q2 at the end of yours, that sort of thing. Where if no one has Q
Okay.
at the end, yeah. So it's basically what you were suggesting there, because the waiting room is a problem, as you were saying. People just aren't going to look down there. We thought it might have been a good idea. And at the time, it does sound like a good idea, but it also requires that people, because I know how it is sometimes, you get into the game, you're talking, that sort of stuff, you forget to take a glance down or something like that. and someone just gets skipped. So yeah, it's become more of a liability rather than something to solve a problem. So I'd say yeah, just stick in the channel. Of course, be respectful. Don't like talk over them if they're doing drop calls. And then once the match is ended, maybe pipe up and say if they got a space left or something like that. But I mean, if they're talking to you as well and you're in the channel and you're not in the drop, I mean, you can talk back. I'm going to
Okay.
be pretty lenient with it.
Yes. One last thing before we get to Nas. If you drop into a community warfare channel and you don't put a queue by your name, you're going to be ignored.
Yeah, I'm just going to add on to that. If you forget to put the Q in the name, and of course someone pops in after you and puts Q1, of course you have to understand that you didn't put the Q in your name, so you might get skipped over. That's something we'll have to work on. We'll have to get people used to doing this sort of thing. But that's just something to think about. Go ahead there, Naz.
I was just going to say, I can see just one problem with this suggestion. Just a theoretical one. What if Q1 got in? Does that mean all the guys, let's say there were 7 or 8 people waiting afterwards, does that mean players 2 through 8 has to renumber themselves again to jump
No.
to Q1 again?
No.
So it's more like a restaurant ticket.
Yeah,
You know?
it continues from there.
Right, okay. So the next question, following on from that then, would it not just be easier if a person comes in saying, oh, have you got any CW space, just to ask them to go downstairs and that's it? And then when your Lance needs a member, just say, right, who was the first one? I'm sure everybody's civil enough here just to
No,
say,
they're not.
he
No,
was
no,
first.
no, they're not. That's.
Hold
I'm
up,
sorry
hold
to
up.
speak.
Can because I lead the drops, so I see it happen. Here's what's happened is you come in, you say, hey, is the room? No, there's not. You go down to CW waiting. The theory is very good, but while you're waiting down in that room, somebody else joins the CW room and just lurks it. And then
Yes.
they hear when the spot opens up, they grab it right away. Or there's a situation where we will not have 12 players to begin with, and we'll be filled with partials. And the person that comes in and decides to wait, they don't know that you can, or they don't think you can join the group while we're in the match. They don't. And meanwhile, other people come in, take the initiative, steal the spot. It's the problem that people that don't queue up are jumping in before we can even ask the queued people to come.
So it's a behavioural thing, is it?
We'd like to think that everybody here in ACES is honest, but that's not
It's
the case.
it's not with malice. People just, some take initiative, some wait in line.
Okay, Alti, do you still remember your question?
No, I just had a
Oh,
suggestion.
I had something to add after Naz's point. The way this server acts is first you are quote unquote alphabetized by unit, so all ACES members are grouped. After that, it's alphabetized by name. If we can have you put Q, maybe put Q in front of your name rather than after, it will group all the queued players into one block.
Good idea.
Good call. I like that too.
Alti.
That's right. I think that's fine.
All right, short bus.
All right, so to a few of the people that said something about keeping the CW meeting channel, my point is that I went down there and said, hey, we're about to have room for one, and the reply was, I don't remember who was first. So I think that needs to be nerfed simply because of the CW waiting room and just not remembering who was first. We're talking about the Q1, Q2. I am really happy and excited to hear that. But we're talking about making sure that we check. I want to make sure that we also make sure to check between CW drop 1 and CW drop 2. If you've got CW in drop 1, but you're in CW drop 2, you want to check CW drop 1 for somebody queued up.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't think so. I think that the people in drop 1 and drop 2 can just look at the queues and figure it out from there.
What I'm saying is if you have 12 people in both, but then you have someone queued up to play in drop 1, but then somebody drops out of drop 2 should make sure to check drop 1 for anybody waiting in queue.
That's a point. Maybe or if when you're typing your queue number in, look at both channels.
No, this is for people forming the match. You see what I'm saying? If you have someone that has dropped out of your match, look to the other CW group for someone that's queued up but waiting in the other room.
Yeah, kind of look into both rooms to see who you can pull in, type of thing. Of
Yeah,
course,
exactly.
that'd be something to consider. Yeah, that's something we'd have to get people to recognize as well, not just look inside your own group area.
All right, the X's are popping up. Let's get to the next person.
I believe Short Bus is next.
That was me.
Oh, sorry.
Tyrcon is next.
No, I thought TIE Fighters ahead of
TIE
me.
Fighter. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
TIE
TIE
is away.
Fighter.
He can't
Okay.
get
There
there.
we
There we
go.
go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I was going to bring up a similar point. If we have 3 dropships running, that's 36 people. That's a lot of people to look through for queues. So I think that we should potentially keep a waiting room, or at least have a place where people can know where to look, because 36 people is more than one screen of people in TeamSpeak. And I feel like people will get missed like that.
Yeah, I think if the people queuing can first pay attention to make sure they look through all channels, look for queues, make sure they number themselves properly, and then drop leads, then look through all the queues. It's a small amount of time to alleviate the waiting versus initiative issue. Ultimately, all of this could be fixed by just people working it out, but sometimes, people just jump in and it causes a little tension.
All right, Tyrcon.
I posted on the forums about this. Guys, if there's 8+ people in the waiting room, you guys can form your own group for a CW. If if there's that many people waiting, there's no reason you guys can't form a third group or a fourth group. We'd encourage you to do that. That's phenomenal that we've got that many people interested in. Even if it's only one group running, 8 people is the basis for a second group. I know some people like waiting because they are unsure of going into drops without specific drop callers. But as both Shim, myself, and Typhus have said, people learn to drop call by doing it, by trying out their skills at it. That's how you practice. That's how you grow in doing so. So if I look down into the waiting room, or I look to the number of queues, and I see 8, 9 guys, I'm gonna ask why aren't you forming a new group when you clearly see that a 12-man is already running. Before I look to put in a substitute, or someone drops out. If I see 9 guys there, I'm gonna ask why aren't you formed your own group first before I ask one of you to jump in.
X's are piling up. Let's try to be as short-winded as possible. Bucket, I think you're next.
Is there any way to set the names up to display the number of people in the room?
It already does that, Bucket. If you click on the name of the channel, it will tell you current clients. Like if you click on this all hands meeting, you go down under the name, codec quality type, current clients. Current clients shows 47, so there are 47 people in this channel currently.
All right.
New record.
We're getting fairly long-winded on the queue.
Yeah.
I think we've been done with the queue 10 minutes ago,
I think
guys. Come
something
on.
to cover a point. I think it was Nikolai. Yeah, we talked about earlier to stem the hate of CW because of having small groups. We now have mercenary alliances. We can now drop in with as few as 3 or 4 aces, join another group, form an 8+ sized group, and win. So if you're even down as low as 4 guys waiting in queue and you want to play, track down BWC, track down Seraphim. There's even CI. They're not quite allied with us, but you can play with them.
Also, aces will become the anchor. In a short time, everybody's going to know. So when they see aces in channel, they may want to join us.
It's already started happening.
I got one question real quick about Q, and maybe it's just because I'm late, so if I did quite understand, I apologize. But I heard you guys talking about having different queue ups for the different CW dropships.
No.
Okay, then I misunderstood. I was like, what's the point of that? Because if you have, 2 dropships going, if 2 needs a spot, they just grab the next number in line. If one needs a guy, they get the next one in line. Okay, my apologies. I was just late, and I think I missed something.
All right, Cattra, next topic, please.
So apologies to everyone that didn't get their questions answered, but I think we do need to move on. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think people are going to be happy with this. I hope so. Eventually, again, we're going to try to implement this, and we'll see how it goes. Of course, if it doesn't end up working, anything like that, we'll go back to the drawing board, that sort of thing. So the next thing, staying on the overall topic of community warfare, let's go on to the thoughts on the voting process. As far as inside of ACES, how we want to go move place to place and that sort of thing. Do you guys like how it's happening? Is there anything we can do to change that? Any suggestions, that sort of thing? Or are you guys just happy with it overall? Go ahead there, Naz.
It was just a quick question. Now that we're going to do this thing with Seraphim and BWC, are we going to try and coordinate the same jumps to the same factions?
Yes.
I'd be more than happy to relinquish my vote for that. Just because I've got that comfort knowing that we don't just have to rely on A.C.E.S to do everything. It's been fantastic when BWC have kicked in, Seraphim have kicked in. It's just been amazing.
The way the current agreement is structured between ACES, BWC, and Seraphim is that ACES takes the lead and they follow. Unlike ACES, they do not hold unit votes per se. They usually have their unit leaders decide. They do take some suggestions from their player base, but ACES is really the only democratic group amongst them. So they've agreed to follow our lead in determining what faction to go to at what time while we are still adhering to this agreement.
Oh, cool.
I just want to, sorry, just to cut in here before I call on Nikolai to speak up. I just want to point out that when we do talk to other units and that sort of stuff, they're actually amazed on how we run because none of them have a democratic process at all. There's some that have a slight democratic process, but it usually involves just like the top 5 guys or something like that. We're the only one so far that I met that I know of that includes all ACES members voting where we want to go.
We also include applicants in a lot of discussions. I think Nas was next.
No, Nas just spoke. It was Nikolai.
So yeah, I like that part as well. I'd just like for you guys to, list, instead of just listing the factions that we're voting on, maybe list what units are going with us where, or what units are, maybe one sentence about what you guys talked about each faction and where your diplomatic meetings are directing us to go.
I will do so.
To be honest, that is usually included in the voting. If you look at the postings underneath the vote, it's usually someone describes what's going on.
Look for Typhus, Turkon, and myself to post information about what you can expect to see if you vote for a certain faction.
Yeah, just like I did with this one.
Zunius.
Oh, nothing. Go. Sorry.
Sneaky. Short-winded, please.
Is there any possibility of setting up a bulletin board for scheduling attacks, simultaneous attacks for all the teams in the Star League? Like call to actions.
What I expect is going to happen, what Jim is already doing, is that we're going to have a message of the day in the faction tab of the client. When all this starts to roll on and get started, we're going to start putting a message of the day up every day.
Yep, I recently, for our Ghost Bear cycle, hadn't been doing that because our objectives in Bear have been non-critical. They've been pushing all borders, so we would pick our own targets. Likewise in Karita, we only have one target. You attack Jags, you attack Jags all day. But as we start to get shifting objectives, say if we take a cycle in Rasselhog, yes, that will be very critical, and I'll resume using message of the day.
Joan.
Kind of a question and a recommendation. Would it be a good idea to set up at least part of the forum so that the other groups that are working with us, aka BWC, Seraphim, and so forth, to where they can post messages on the same forums that we see?
We have that. It's the diplomat bar.
Yes.
That is? Okay.
And we now have the diplomat station in our TS here, where some unit leaders like to lurk, which lets us update each other.
Yes, it's already covered.
Me, Tyr, and Typhus do a lot of run around to other Merc units' team speaks to make sure we're always up to date.
Okay.
So overall, what I'm getting is that everyone's perfectly content with how things are running right now as far as the faction votes and stuff like that. A couple suggestions to take in, which I have written down. And let's move on to the next topic, which is everything non-community warfare. So the first point in that is that Mecha and Adam are both going to be trying to head up some more pickup groups for fun matches and that sort of stuff. And the main reasons for that, we want to get people comfortable with one another, and also just to play simply to have fun, because I know some people may or may not like community warfare, and I know the past 2 months or so have been really community warfare focused for A.C.E.S, but I think that's mainly just because community warfare is new. It's something we've all been waiting for, and so when it came out, we got all really excited, put a big push on it. And then we started getting our name out there, so there was more incentive to keep pushing it. So if you're one of those guys that we kind of alienated, I know it's a little bit of a harsh term, but I simply want to apologize for giving such a big push on community warfare. It was kind of really important. It is still really important. But we don't want to try to alienate you as much as we have. So I know if Adam wants to maybe speak up about it a little bit more, the things going on with the pug matches and the more for fun matches.
It's basically just going to be nights or times where we'll just basically go. What channel is it? Yeah, the casual drop channels, King of Clubs, and down in the coup. Basically, it'll be for grinding mechs, maybe learning a chassis you haven't played before, things like that. It's not going to be a try-hard meta loadout stuff. It'll just be whatever you need to grind or whatever you want to play, and we'll just dick around. Or we'll do something stupid, and we'll take a bunch of spiders with machine guns and go troll people for an hour. I don't know.
Okay, so
Does anyone have any questions with regards to what we just spoke about there for the non-community warfare / that sort of thing? If not, we'll move on to the next topic. I'll let it go for a minute here.
X up, please. Okay, Cattra, go ahead.
All right, so of course we have the A.C.E.S tournament.
Oh.
I want to call Tyrkron to talk about that. Thank you.
All right, guys. You might have seen in the forums that I've been posting a little bit in the last couple months or so about us getting a A.C.E.S sponsored tournament off the ground. We have posted up in our competitive lodge the rules for the tournament as they have been written. They are pretty much set. The thing that we are waiting on right now before we decide what day or days we are going to do this is we need to come up with a poster / invitation that we can use to send out to the units that we are inviting, and that we can send to NGNG so that they can advertise, that we're doing this and that, it's going to be streamed.
Yes, Bomb. All of you guys know Bomb, Darren, NGNG, avid fan of ours. He has told us that all he's waiting on is a poster or advertisement, and it will go up on NGNG as soon as he can. Now, fortunately, we need some help. Somebody. Shim's pretty busy, if you guys didn't know.
That's one of the reasons I have been asking everyone else besides Shim.
What type of help do you need?
I basically need someone who has experience with Photoshop or a similar, art program
Or
that can
Illustrator
put,
or something.
yeah, that can put together a simple poster that we can use to send out with the invitations, and that can be used as an advertisement that we can post up in all of our recruitment, threads on the various forums, so that people know that this is going to be happening. It doesn't have to be too elaborate.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. People say, hey, Aces could use some art. And I'm a professional artist that plays with Aces. Just how it goes is I'm doing my art for a living, and while I enjoy it, when I'm add even more artwork, anything that you make a job sucks some of the enjoyment out of it. So typically, I avoid stacking more on my plate. And I know it's a little selfish, but that's just the honest truth of it. I avoid doing free work at all costs.
So, John, go ahead.
First off, I've known several artists as friends, and believe me, Shem, I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, continuing that, I do have experience with Photoshop. It's not much. It was just a class in college. I could see about trying to put something together. Although I am not going to guarantee anything.
That'll be fine. I mean, anybody that wants to do it, we'll put up a vote or something. If you guys want to make a poster or advertisement, we'll make a section, we'll make a thread. Create something, post it there, and we'll vote on it. Sneaky, you have something?
Well, when do you need the poster?
As soon as possible. Anytime in the near future. We want to get this off the ground. We've been trying to for a long time. So.
Well, I draw very slowly, so it will take time if I do it.
I'll just point in, I can let Aces use some of my existing Battletech artwork. It would really only require somebody then with typography layout skills to make the poster with my artwork as a backing.
Well, I think this subject needs to continue on for a later date.
Yep.
Yeah, to give you guys an example of what I'm looking for, don't need something original, that you hand draw it like Shim does. If you look at the Davian propaganda thread, War Pigs has up 2 posters for their Wednesday night warfare that they like to do. Something as simple as that, will work. Just a mech, our Aces logo, doesn't have to
The
be
Victor.
hand. Yeah.
I want the Victor in Ace's colors.
Okay, Typhus is specifically requesting that. We'll have to see what works.
We might have to hold a whole hands meeting on that one there.
Need to get your Photoshop out then.
That you might want to put a post up with the information that you're going to want on the poster, just so people can access it. If you want to say certain things, obviously the date's not going to be figured out yet, but if you just put a little blurb so anybody who wants to work on it can go and look, what needs to be said on it, Aces, blah, 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 just so it's accessible for people.
Typhus, I already have an Hatchet Man in my hard drive. I can tweet it if you want.
I don't know what a Hatchet Man is. Sorry.
Get out of here, Typhus. Anyway, let's I think we'll definitely create a post or something like that with regards to what the information we need and stuff like that. But I just want to let everyone know, and I think Turkon already let everyone know as well, the rules for the Aces tournament are done. We just need a date, and we need something to put up to advertise it. That's literally all we need. But let's move on to the next thing, which is drop calling and shimmering, if you want to take that one away.
I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to cover in this subject. Give me some things to hit on.
If someone wants to drop call, what do they need to know?
Yes. I have actually had a couple people ask about this, along with me asking people to step up in general. If current drop leader such as myself, Turkon, I mean, him and I handle the brunt of it. There's a couple others that jump on. Step up and take lead. The best way to drop call is to learn to drop call is just to do it. Obviously, it helps if you've played under our command for a while. You can listen in and absorb all of our plays. As far as CW goes, it's very rinse and repeat, so it's easy to pick up. Hopefully you see why it works, why we go to specific grids. If you want tips and training on how to drop call, when you're already taking the initiative to step up and do it, yeah, sure, come to me. Maybe Tur is cool with that too. We can give you tips, but the main point I want to push home here is that if you want to drop call, you can't say, Shimmy, teach me, and I run you through a lesson and suddenly you're a drop caller. The key will be you just doing it, and we can help critique how you're doing. We can't really teach you all the skills through a lesson.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to help people learn. Some of you have asked, can I lead this coming drop? And I'm more than willing to let you, and I'll give you pointers at the end. Just ask, guys. I'm more than willing to help you.
Nas, go ahead.
It's alright, my question was answered already, as Turkon spoke.
Short bus, short-winded, please.
Ain't no thing. Alright, so we're talking about people stepping up and whatnot. My question is, should we maybe consider a forum area for drop callers? For casual and competitive CW, all three, where things are posted for drop callers.
I think that leads
Tactics,
back.
strats.
I think that leads back to my statement of it really being impossible to verbally tell someone how to drop lead. Likewise, just posting our tactics in a thread is not going to make a drop leader. A lot of it is just you learning how to verbally say what you want people to do and having your players understand that. If you do want to talk drop plans for certain maps, I'm sure there's already threads in the forum appropriated to that, like the competitive lodge, etc. What was I gonna cover here? I've had some people ask if they need to have rank to be a drop leader. No, you don't. Like we talked about, you gain rank after stepping up. The route that I definitely went through was I started drop leading when there was no other drop lead around. After several months of that, I was given a Vanguard tag, I guess when the Vanguards were first started. And if you continue to drop lead and become a very good one that's always around, that could lead to more. But no, don't wait for rank to be a drop leader.
Alright, we're getting, again, kind of long-winded here. Dead, can you make it short?
Yeah. I just wanted to reiterate kind of what Shim said with the whole, tactics around drop calling. A lot of it, I think, is going to come from experience and throwing yourself out there. But I also think that it's still important to, express whatever you think works well and what doesn't work well on the forum just so people can see it. But that's only a piece of it. It's sort of like a combination of experience and what you see.
Ulti.
Nope, just gonna chuck this up there. I think CW is its own animal for anybody who wants to call or learn or get better at just standard map drops. That's a good read. You don't have to agree with everything, but it's a good start to understanding the meta in each map.
Yes, CW is pretty forgiving because you've got 4 waves to burn. It's probably best to start in CW and then go to a regular drop.
I'll just speak up here out of experience. It is a lot easier to call in CW. Because there's really not that many multiple factors, and you don't have to worry about burning mechs and that sort of thing, because you do have fallback ones. Even myself, I don't really like calling regular matches, mainly because I always end up making bad calls. But doing pugs is definitely a lot harder to do. So if you do want to step up and do drop calling, by all means, I encourage you to do pugs, but you do have to understand it is going to be a little bit harder. If you want to start doing calls and that sort of stuff, community warfare might be a little bit easier to do. I'm just putting that out there.
I'll call CW matches if I need to, but I will not call pug matches. So take it from me. Pug matches are harder.
I mean, if you are in a small casual or attack chat group, still have a drop leader. Being a lance lead is a good starter point also in regular drops. It is definitely ill-advisable to jump in and lead 12 guys into a regular match where every mech counts. But if you lance lead just 4 guys in a drop, okay, you misled your lance, you probably sabotaged the team, but you don't have 11 other guys breathing down your neck for bad calls. So that's another starting point, is lead small groups.
And as Shim said, small groups, ask if you can try it out. Most people will say yes. The best piece of advice I can give to anyone when they start out: be confident, make your decision, go with it. Whether you win, lose, or draw, make your decision and go. If you start second guessing yourself, that's when you get bogged down. That's when you lose your momentum. That's when things fall apart.
All right, short bus. Last question.
Thanks, I appreciate that. My point is, if we've got new people willing to step up and drop lead, you need to make sure you take the initiative and prerogative to listen, no matter what they say.
Yes, that's most important, and that's the whole crux of this, guys. If we want new unit leaders, drop callers, you need to listen to them so they gain experience. If you don't listen to them, then they fail. Cattra?
All right, let's move on to the next topic, which is our competitive team. Does Typhus or Tierkron want to take this one up? Because this one here might be need a little bit more explanation to it.
I can handle it. If you
okay,
want,
go ahead there,
Typhus.
Tier.
Okay. Competitive team, we're going to be doing a bit more with this than we have been the last couple months. Competitive team is basically going to be tac chat, channels, people that are familiar with the meta, people that are willing to learn the meta, people that want to win in regular drops, who want to go in and face another 12-man and punch them in the face. Basically, it's pretty straightforward. The people that are going to be leading those competitive drops, those competitive teams, they're going to be pretty strict guys. They're going to tell you what mechs they want, and there's probably not going to be any wiggle room on it. If they want Griffin 3Ms that are SRM bombers, that's what they want. They don't want, oh well, I have a Wolverine that has 5 medium pulse. It's like, no. He said Griffin 3M SRM bomber. If you don't have it, you're probably going to be asked to sit on the sidelines until the next match comes up when you have the mech that they want. That being said, I do understand that not everyone's going to be interested in it, and that it is going to be rigorous. So people, you're going to have to take a little bit of salt with it. It's going to be hard. People are going to not berate. No one's going to berate you, but they are going to critique you, and they're probably going to be a little harsh when they critique you. The idea though is behind that critique is to help you learn and to help you get better.
And I'm going to talk more about competitive play as the last subject of this meeting. Do we have... let's take questions about it afterwards. Cattra, next subject.
The next subject would be practices. Practice. Typhus, you want to take this one?
Yes. Practice. Currently we have 2 days of practice set, and they've been put into the unit news, the first section of our forums. Now, I know that the the normal rank and file ace cannot comment on those. It's for the unit leaders to tell you guys what we want kind of to happen and what our plans are. Monday night is Mecha. I guess I should probably cover what I was going to say now. Monday nights, it's 8 p.m. Eastern. So 5 p.m. Pacific. Mecha and now Adam are going to be running a more of a casual, fun side of practice. This is going to be for new applicants, anybody that needs the basic ropes of MWO, and anybody that needs to grind a mech. There's not going to be any browbeating. There's not going to be any real, how do I put it, structure to adhere to. As long as you try to win, this is all about the basics for everybody. And anybody in here, do not feel bad if you feel that you need to drop on Mondays. It's not going to be comp. Wednesdays, and I do believe it's starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, the same, 5 Pacific. Iron will be leading that. And as all you know, Iron is very hardline, but he does offer a plethora of competitive knowledge that I think all aces need to know. That one, like Khan said, is going to have a lot of structure to it. If you guys want to drop competitive in aces, then you will be expected to drop meta as Iron sees it. You will also be expected to play TACCOM. It means follow the unit leader and keep chatter to an absolute minimum. And overall win. Hopefully we can get a 12-man in there, but if we can't, 8-man, 10-man, you'll be going up against the very best in MWO, like Lords, SJR, Swords, 228th. It's going to be an uphill battle. That's what Iron in his practice on Wednesday is for. Go
like
ahead,
being
Alti.
punched in the face repeatedly show up on Wednesday. It's going to be glorious.
It will make you better. Go ahead, Alti.
I just want to reiterate because I think the Wednesday practices have been pretty good. I've seen some improvement in the squad overall. The guys have been joining, but we still have people who come in and they just clearly do not have an idea of what the best mechs are, what meta mechs are, don't want to play them, don't want to, want to play with whatever mechs instead. It's like it's got to really be reiterated that Wednesday is for playing the best mech and bring it. Just really don't bring excuses. Learn what the mechs are, or just it's really not the night for you. This unit is mostly casual on CW. There's like one night where we're doing like play to win.
Right, we got
a
lots
lot of you guys, I'm going to just say one thing. A lot of you guys need to understand there's a handful of us that are really competitive. I'm one of them. And like that's basically our night to do our thing. And if we get a lot of people showing up that don't want to help us, improve, it brings us all down and we get frustrated really fast, and it makes us just not want to show up anymore because it basically gets our night taken away.
Lots of X's. One more point, and this is for Alti and the rest of you. Iron is going to pick and choose who is on the competitive team. He'll give you a night, maybe 2, but if you can't perform, then you need to go back to CW or to Mecha's training. No, we've got Run Hunter Die coming up on March 3rd with all these badass competitive teams. Iron will be picking who plays eventually on Wednesdays. Let's have the next question.
I think it was Tiercon.
Well,
so a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to remind about the Run Hot or Dies coming up, guys. Sinister made a nice post about it on the forums. I just linked it up in chat. I'd like everyone to, at least go over and check it out. It's somewhat, there's going to be 2 tournaments for Run Hot or Die. There's going to be the 8v8, and there's going to be the 4v4. We did the 4v4 last time. If it's your first time ever doing, a competitive scene, a competitive tournament, I would encourage you to check out the 4v4. It's a lot more forgiving. It's a lot easier to learn. You get a small group of aces together, that practice together, that work together, and you can do a lot with it. It was the first tournament I did with aces, and it, just grew from there for me. So, Sinister made the post. I'd let, go check it out, take it into consideration.
Short bus.
Hey guys, this is Carl. Can I just have a quick question, please?
Sure.
What about European people who want to play in competitive scene? I know that the American team is there, but what about European players?
Well, unfortunately, man, our European side is very small.
Right. Okay.
We've tried for a long time to grow you guys, but we're an ocean away.
Yeah, I hear you.
So it's difficult.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead. To Scar, I will say bring anyone and everyone that you think may want to play with you. We need to grow Europe. But outside of that, back on to subject. I feel like if we've got Iron doing what he wants to be doing with heading a practice, I kind of want to bring up a point with Nas where he said one practice is not enough. I completely second that. And if it comes down to not just Iron, we need to figure out who else could step up and be the leader of a practice for comp. Beyond that, I also say, lastly, that we need to reconsider looking into using private drops once again for practices and really doing some coordinated and tactful things in that sense because we can control that environment.
Okay, I will say this, and this is kind of an end to any argument. This is going to be Iron's thing. Mecca and Adam have Monday practice. Me, Khan, and Shim currently have CW. I know Iron's not here, but this is going to be Iron's thing because he's the best. I know a lot of you guys are really good players. Some of you are better than me. But this is Iron's thing on Wednesday. He's the competitive man. So we're going to set up a structure, but it's going to be up to him.
I'll just go ahead and say what I said in chat. My point is, if Iron could set a number 2, even if it takes a few weeks to get there, just to have more than one meet.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's my point.
Yep,
Okay.
I think we need another comp player, a highly skilled player that is also willing to step up and lead drops. So that also requires some drop leading skills and to also be vetted by Iron. Then we could run another practice because Iron's time is limited.
Yeah, completely what I said. You got to have somebody second to Iron doing this on a second night at the least.
There are a lot of you here that Iron values as good competitive players. So if you want to drop competitive and you want to lead and you want to teach, speak to Iron. PM on the site, try to catch him when he's here, and talk to him. He'll talk to you.
I know it's not my niche, but if that's something we're pushing for comp, yeah, it's important. We should have a second night. I completely agree with Nas.
Can I add a point real quick?
Yeah.
Back when we used to, even though we were playing casual, a lot of times we used to have bigger groups. We used to try to play more to the meta because we didn't want to get raffle stomped. And I've seen a couple of times recently we didn't do that and we just get wrecked because that's what happens.
We'll be going over room structure, I think, with that point.
Okay. Now, I think we covered the casual Monday and we covered the competitive. My last point, and this is all going towards a new structure for ACES. 3 blocks, 3 organizations within ACES. The last will be CW, which is run by me, Tyr, and Shim. We're your CW leads. We play the space job. Well, I've got 4 TS servers open right now, kind of listening in. That's what we do. If you're interested in CW, CW basically goes any night except for Mondays and Wednesdays. Drop by any time. Now, CW is really simple. It's not complicated. We're working on a structure to get aces into the 3 groups that each ace, as they're willing, can jump in between. So if you want to play casual with Mecha, cool. You want to play competitive with Iron, awesome. You want to play CW with us, great. That's coming down the pipeline in the next month. We're working on it now. Let's go to the next subject.
I had one X up after Nas, but I believe Nas withdrew his point. Just to clarify, and I believe we will go over this more again, what Typhus was just talking about on the subject of Iron running competitive. It's pretty blunt. If you score low consistently, if you're a new player to MWO and you're still struggling, you have trouble just racking up any damage or kills at all, we have made our admission standards a little lax to get CW going, because really we can make use of bodies that know how to move. But part of the problem with, Iron's comp unit is if we flood his practice with new users, that really pulls it down. Likewise, the comp guys in there that have high elos are pulling us up to fight. Like you said, we're fighting the Lords, we're fighting 228th, and for some of our players, it is out of your league. And you will get stomped, and if you're getting stomped hard enough, there's only so much you can learn when you're insta-killed. While the point was covered of if you don't want to participate in comp, you don't have to. In some cases, you may need to brush up in the casual or in regular TAC chat groups before going all the way for comp. But that's a very hard line to define there, and we definitely don't have a system where we tell you get out. We will cover that a little later though.
Alti?
I'm just going to cover what Naz is saying, but yeah, I mean, we do have 2 practices though, Naz. The one night is the Monday night, is the casual thing, and if you feel like you're in that zone where you're struggling to get damage, you're struggling to get kills, if a match starts and your first thought is to ask, where do I go? Then Monday is your night, not Wednesday. I don't want to be brutal, but that's just the truth of it. You need to be knowing where to go and how to respond to what. Like, one of the things about drops is you shouldn't need the drop caller to literally call everything. You got to have a lot of initiative and know where you need to be and create openings and be part of that. And that makes the drop calling a lot easier for the caller. That's a big part of it.
Well, one thing that we discussed, all the unit leaders up in that lock channel, was that with the changes to CW, now that we have faction grouping, and now that we're in a coalition with Seraphim and BWC, if there needs to be more practices in a week, so 3 practices or 4, that shouldn't be a problem. We're not going to come down and bother you guys for CW if you guys are practicing, casually or competitively. If more people want to step up to make more practices, to make aces better, good deal. But that's on you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, sorry to cut it in Typhus, if you do want to run a practice or something like that, just do it. Don't wait for someone to come forward and say you can do it. Just do it.
Well, we are going on an hour, gentlemen. Do we have another serious topic to go over, Cattra?
Some of the stuff going on in the back room here is we are going to start making some ACES video series. What this is, it's mainly going to be training videos to try to help get some people up to par, as well as perhaps if we're not able to run a practice or something like that. This has been on the talk probably for about a month now behind the scenes. So, for example, some of the stuff we want to do videos on is even simple stuff such as how to properly torso twist, how to do good shot trade, that sort of thing, in different settings such as like PUG, Community Warfare, that sort of stuff, and also guides on how to move around certain maps. What are some of the commonly used tactics on maps, strong points, weak points, where you can hold chokeholds, that sort of stuff. That's one of the things we want to start up and doing. Hopefully we'll be able to begin doing that fairly soon. The first video was supposed to be today, I believe, but that didn't happen because I got thrown under a bus at work, so I couldn't actually record for about 20 some days, and I apologize for that. See here, I think Short Bus, was that X up for this topic or the last one?
It's this current topic. And my question then is, well, it's not so much a question, but we're talking about recording videos and whatnot. I would believe that there was an email sent out roughly a few weeks ago about looking for people to record. I want to be one of them. I don't know how to do it. Cattra, you're amazing at it. I'm hoping we can talk.
Yeah, definitely.
I would really like to step
I'll
up
see
and
if
do
I
that.
can make a post or something like that about what I just simply do, equipment to use and that sort of stuff. But yeah, no. As in for who said it here? Fightgar, is this going to be aces for aces? Primarily, yes. We're not going to make it private because also beyond us learning from it, it will be a very good recruiting tool and very good propaganda, I think. We're going to try to keep it open, just like how the A.C.E.S podcast, when it's on YouTube, it's open to everyone. And I just want to point out the A.C.E.S podcast videos get usually between 100 and I think the highest one is 300 views now for our podcast. So that's also being used as a really good recruiting tool, as well as just in general, that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be kind of like a Mech 101 class, hopefully, is what we're aiming for. And so hopefully that video series will come to light. This is just something we wanted to bring up to you guys, just so you know there is stuff that happens behind the scenes, as far as trying to make aces better in general. Go ahead, Black Knight.
Just a question about the podcast. Would it be possible to get that up on iTunes in any way? I don't have time to watch a half-hour YouTube vid, but I have plenty of time at work to listen to it.
I could try getting I'd have to look into iTunes. I'd have to look into like maybe SoundCloud or something like that. Because I think with SoundCloud I could provide a download link as well.
Yeah, I can also give you guys a handy way to download it as an MP4 and play it on any phone or thing like that. So if you're interested in that, I'll make a posting. It's I have it as an extension in my Firefox extensions, and it allows me to download the YouTube video as an MP3 or as an MP4. So I'll let you guys know about that.
Actually, the next topic we were going to go on to was the podcast, and I just want to get an overall feedback on the podcast. We've been doing it now. We got 10 episodes up, just a little over, I think, 3 months worth of content. What are your guys' thoughts on the podcast? Is there I'm just asking for real quick stuff here. Is there anything we can do to change or improve it? Of course, SoundCloud was a big one. I'll look into doing something with that. See here.
Just call him Al.
All right, Al. What is it?
If you can make a playlist on your YouTube channel, that'd be great. Just to like organize the videos a little bit.
Yeah, I could do that, definitely. That should be a fairly easy thing. Let me actually write that down so I don't forget and stick it right to my monitor.
Good point, Al. I like that one.
That's all.
I just wanted a real quick touch base because there was some talk about a Steam channel. Is that still going on, getting set up, or?
Yes.
Yes. Give me a second here.
You're the leader, Cattra.
Yeah, I now have full control of that. Give me a second here.
Yes, we have probably about 1.5 dozen people from A.C.E.S in the A.C.E.S Steam group. And we're hoping to get everybody here in it. We'll let Cattra get his stuff together.
I'm trying to get my shit together here, guys. Give me a second.
Yeah, that'd be great if Aces could join that, because I know that, like we've said many times tonight, that CW and MWO basically it rules our lives right now for a lot of us. If we could get mini Aces on something in Steam, like PlanetSide was a big one for a while. We had about
Warhammer.
Okay, Warhammer, yeah, Dawn of War, but
This is membership. I'm sorry, membership invite only for Aces.
Yes.
we had
Here,
14 people.
I'll change that.
We had 14 people playing PlanetSide at one time, and it was hell fun. Hella fun. The reason why we're doing this is because MWO is going to go up on Steam soon. This year.
Through Greenlight or just straight away?
Straight up.
Straight up.
They're basically allowing everybody in these days, but that'd also probably bring new members in.
Right. Russ said that PGI is going to put MWO up on Steam probably third quarter this year, if I'm not mistaken.
That'll pull some good talent, hopefully.
Yeah, he said the earliest would be summer, but I would say it's probably more likely to be after Labor Day.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, MWO is liable to hopefully explode.
I say try to get it before summer, because that's where everyone gets off.
Oh no, we plan to have the Steam group up and running as soon as possible.
It's already, our Steam group's already established, Raggle. It's we're talking
I'm talking
MWO.
about the MWO being on Steam.
A side subject.
Yeah, that's something they would have to really consider, because they got to do a whole UI overhaul and stuff like that.
I know it. You don't need to tell me, because I know it's hard.
One of those things that we hope will happen.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things we'll have to wait and see. I set the permissions for the Steam group to anyone can invite. And it's currently open right now, so if you're not in, get in now. I will probably set it back to invite only, but it is set that any member in Aces can invite someone into the Aces. So if you have a friend in Aces or something like that on your Steam list, just send them an invite type of thing. I'll close it probably in about an hour and a half. It's just we don't want a bunch of random people joining in and trolling us.
I'm already in it, guys. If you just type my name as you see it here in, I will friend you and I will get you in.
Did Bucket have a question?
Just yeah, on the podcasts. Where are they and how do you find them? I don't even.
I host them all on my YouTube channel, which is somewhat the Aces YouTube channel as well.
They're also under Unit News.
Yeah, they're also in our Unit News, and I also post them to the Aces recruitment section of the MWO forums. So let me just go to my channel.
I'm sorry, who was saying their name to add on Steam?
Tyrcon.
I wasn't paying attention to the person speaking.
Tyrcon.
Okay, they all sound the same anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to handle applicants on that, though. Do we have a consensus before we do that?
Well, we could, as long as you have an application in to Aces, you could join. And then if you stop playing with Aces, we remove you.
Nothing personal.
I wouldn't be too worried about it, right? Most of our chat happens in here is really just for an extra layer.
Oh god, everyone's been... Okay, some of you I don't know. Okay, Menden, Zoo, I know you. I have no idea who that's in. I think Cyrillic.
We can handle that later.
We need to keep this moving, guys.
Yes. Any more subjects, Cattra? We're over.
Yes. TS3 channel discipline as well as in-game discipline. This is something I do want to bring up real quick. We are going to implement a real quick, somewhat code of... I was really hoping we didn't have to do this. I was hoping people were somewhat a little bit more adult. But I am going to try to enforce a small code of ethics in the PUG and community warfare setting. As far as public group, this is an area for people to have fun with. So as long as you're not harassing, nagging on people, bringing them down, saying racist or offensive things, that sort of stuff, or berating others, both the enemy and your on your team, anything goes. Have fun, really. As far as community warfare goes, though, we're going to be a little bit more strict. Because we're getting a little bit more serious as far as community warfare as well as the competitive setting. And A.C.E.S is starting to get a very good reputation and name in MechWarrior Online, mainly with community warfare. I'm going to start enforcing a small little bit of rules with that. So one, mainly don't belittle or berate the pugs if we have any in our community warfare drop. If the pugs are messing up or they're not following directions or orders or anything like that, offer a suggestion to follow the team, but if they ignore it, ignore them. Just simply don't talk to them. And secondly, don't harass or be offensive towards our enemy. I mean, simple lighthearted jokes like we always have, like my tactics, my Mercstar, and Tip's Neuro Helmet. I mean, that stuff's absolutely hilarious. It's lighthearted, it's funny jabs, that sort of thing, and it's in the spirit of the game to make little jokes like that. But when it crosses the line into really bad taste jokes, such as telling people to die and to uninstall and that sort of stuff, I don't think we need any of that behavior in A.C.E.S at all. It makes us look bad as a whole unit, even though it might be one individual and that sort of thing. And I really hope people take this to note. Go ahead there, Shimmering.
Yeah, on the subject of CW, the pugs on our team, you hear me say it a lot. A lot of pugs are playing CW, losing be damned, because they enjoy it for what it is. And many do not care a single bit about coordination. I will give some basic orders or ask you guys to relay some basic orders, but overall, it's very hands-off, is my opinion at this point. Don't try to push the pugs around. If they're going to follow, they probably will follow from the very start. Yeah, sometimes I even say don't even give them orders past the first try, because you're spending time typing out of your own effectiveness to help a guy that probably won't do anything about it. So don't worry about the pugs.
We've picked up about a half a dozen members that have just dropped with us in CW and said that we're great and we win. Don't lessen those numbers, please.
And if you see me harassing a pug and you think I'm over the line, let me know.
Bad, go ahead.
We had a couple of matches today where we at least were giving some information out to the pugs between the drops, like what max they should bring next, and that worked pretty good. So
yeah,
I
that sort of
don't
thing's
see a
fine.
reason to stop on that.
No, that's
Right.
creative criticism. That's completely fine. What I'm talking about is like if you're in a match with them and they're not following, just don't get angry at them. Be like, don't tell them to like
Tell them
uninstall the
once, but
game, that
don't
sort of
need
thing.
to-
Creative criticism's always good. Like I was saying there, like it's all right to offer suggestions and that sort of thing, but if they don't listen to you after that, don't really take it to heart. Don't get upset or anything like that. They are just a pickup person. Like always offer suggestions, always offer somehow someone can get better. I just want to point out right now, and this is a little bit slightly off topic, but as far as games that I've played in a somewhat competitive setting, I think MechWarrior is probably the most forgiving, as well as the most like suggestion heavy / how to get better type of thing. As far as competitive / online multiplayer games go, it's pretty forgiving. People are really nice and that sort of thing, and I want to continue to have that happen in our community. And I want to make A.C.E.S a beaming example of how a competitive game can also have a really good community behind it as well. Did I answer your question, or did I go off topic a little bit too much?
No, of course you answered the questions. There's a second thing about the trash talk. So I don't want to offend anybody or something like that, or be nasty or mean. But what's about some role-playing kindish trash
Oh yeah,
talk?
like I said, that's completely fine as well. Like I was saying there, like simple jokes towards the enemy and stuff like that. That's completely fine. Like I was saying there, like simple jokes, like when we meet up with Mercstar and go, "My Mercstar," or if we meet up with like the Lords and we say like Tip Neuro Helmet or something like that when they start like that sort of thing. Or if we're up against I think a good example was this, like when we were Ghost Bears and we dropped. I said like fee fi fo fum, give up your planet and we'll let you run, like that sort of thing. Just lighthearted stuff. That's completely fine. I would encourage that sort of stuff, but don't let it cross a line. And I mean that line is going to be different for everybody. But when it starts coming into like bad taste and that sort of stuff,
Yeah, I'm not mentioning bad taste, anything like that. Just what you said. So
And size up your enemy. Some of our enemies respect us, and we respect them. They will take your jokes properly. Other units hate us or are known trolls that you don't want to engage with at all. If you say a joke and the enemy team takes it badly, it's probably time to stop joking.
I'm sorry, did I hear short?
Yeah, short. I think you're the next one up.
Yes, sir. So, a situation arose a few nights ago where we had BWC joining in on us for the first time. I feel like we made room for them. So, I guess my question then is, when do we draw the line slash it's a very touchy subject because we're going to be merging in drops, not merging with groups, but merging with drops with BWC. How do we decide 12-man aces or group up with BWC in terms of numbers? Is that first come, first serve?
If you already have a mixed group going, and there's now another mixed group going, and there's a chance you could consolidate, I would lean towards leaving the mixed groups. BWC actually wants to cross-train with us. We've talked about that. Yeah, it's because, it's always hard to tell somebody, hey, we have more aces in here. Could you please leave? Because we are allied with these people. They work with us. We work with them. I would run, personally, I say mixed groups. And as far as, say, there's 4 aces and 8 BWC, who leads that kind of stuff? Generally the larger group, but if the larger group doesn't have one of their drop leads and the smaller group does, or, just talk it out, see who defers or who wants to lead.
Apologies. Question was a little misconstrued.
Right.
We're making room for aces primarily before BWC, though, correct?
I would assume that BWC guys probably won't be coming over here to queue unless they think they're needed. So, yeah, if a BWC does join here and wants to wait in line, tell him our queue system and have him queue in. If he arrives here before an ace arrives here, I would give the BWC guy his line, place in line. But please, other unit leads, let us know.
No, you guys, I'll step in. You guys, please remember that us and BWC, we're almost mirror images of each other. They really want to play with aces, and in MWO, they are going to follow our lead to the utmost. So if you will...
Treat them as our own?
Yes. They're
Cool.
going to treat aces as their own. I've
Right,
talked to
keep it as
Renegade.
simple as that, then.
I've talked to Renegade and Frank many, many times over the past week. That's what they want. So, yeah, keep it at that.
Yes,
This-
Alti.
I just want to say I agree too. If they come in and they've been waiting, they should be given the spot. But if you take a look at, I mean, I wasn't even here for it, but if you look at the last couple of nights, it's like 3 or 4 different companies going because it's a mix of aces and BWC, and it's a chance to learn and do some new different stuff, and you might have some different input from different guys. So I think it's definitely they should be given the spot if they're waiting.
A.C.E.S?
I personally think it's been fantastic for the last 2 or 3 days, mixing it up. You've got full teams. Like, say if I pull a team together and I've got 8 people, I just jump onto BWC TeamSpeak and 4 of them instantly jump in. And vice versa. It's just been fantastic all up. I've not had this luxury personally since we've done CW, and I think probably this is the best move ever. That's just my.
Yeah, okay, everybody right now, I'm going to post the BWC info in chat.
Everyone's gone quiet waiting for this.
I need my beer.
Now you can
Drum roll.
You can get into this TeamSpeak, but it has a permission system that locks it down, so you won't be able to move, but they will see that you're there, and they can pull you around.
Yes, one recommendation, when you jump into their TS, you'll only be a name. So put ACES by your name. They will be more than happy to accommodate you guys. And I will work with Renegade and Yuba Frank to set up permissions for all ACES members on their TS server. But we'll see what happens. They're very mil-spec. They're
so I
liable
think,
to set up an ACES channel for us.
I just want to say that I think that wraps up everything we have to talk about for this all. Or am I missing something, Tyrion?
One small thing, guys, with the Steam group, a lot of you messaged me, and we're getting a lot of you in. To that end, I wanted to float the idea past you guys of doing what I am tentatively calling a other game night once a week or once a month, where basically Aces gets on and we don't play MWO, we go play something else. Basically to act as a pressure release valve, so we don't get burned out on MWO.
Planetside.
Yeah. So we
Planetside.
So we can use Steam, we can use
Planetside
Uplay,
2?
we can use Origin, we can use
Yes.
anything. But I wanted to see if that's something you guys would want to do. That we could start a group of for Left 4 Dead 2 or for Borderlands or for Total War. Different game each month or something. I'll post up
I'd
about
like
it in the
that.
forums, but I just want to float the idea before you.
Sorry if I may. I was X'd up, so I figured there was a break. On that same subject, I feel like we already have that availability by using Ace's Rec Room and many other opportunities. I feel like we can do that any old time, especially now that, me personally, I know we have a Steam group. I didn't know that before tonight. I feel like this might really open up the doors because, like you said, everybody has messaged you, and now we're within the Aces Steam group. I feel like that would really be something that you'll see much more often now without dedicating a night to it.
But what's so bad about actually dedicating a night to it? I think it's
Nothing at
a
all.
good
I just
idea,
think
though.
it's going to happen more often.
We'll see. Once all X-ups are done, I do want to do one last pass on the room structure here, but carry on with the X'd up people.
Joan.
Quick question. Due to my financial constraints, I cannot get any new Steam games for the foreseeable future. So is there a list of games that are available to where you can run with other players within Aces?
Planetside is free.
Yep.
There's a lot of free-to-play games on Steam.
Warframe.
Oh,
remember that one.
Warframe. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
and
miss
Warframe.
it.
the big the big thing, Joan, is that it'd be a different game, for different groups that want to group up and play something. If we have 10 guys on that night and 4 people want to go play Borderlands, 4 people want to play Left 4 Dead, and it's going to be completely up to individuals to decide what they want to play. It's going to be basically a relaxed night. You go, you have fun, you do something other than MWO. We don't have to worry about it.
We won't assign one game. We won't ask you to buy games.
Yeah, it's mainly because some of us, I noticed some people do get burnout and stuff like that from playing MWO too much, and sometimes it's just good to sit back, take a break for a day or two or something like that before coming back into MWO. It's just one of those things we want to try to encourage people to have fun together. And also, if you find yourself getting frustrated at MWO, sometimes it's better just to take a day off, take a break, that sort of thing. and we want to try to provide a service or something like that. That if there's a game you like and you know that there's another person or two who play that game, that you guys can group up and that sort of thing.
Bad, did you have something to say?
Yeah. Point one. I don't know if the friend list sometimes bugged, but it happens that I see on some days during the EU times a lot of North American guys playing, but not in the TeamSpeak. So I would like to invite any North American guy that is playing in the week at the EU times, or for you guys at the night or morning, however. Join the TeamSpeak. EU side at the moment has need of you guys. Also, if it's just 1 or 2 puck drops, it's always better to play with 2, 3 or more guys than playing alone.
Yeah, even if a lot of people I hear say, I only have time to play a couple, so I'm gonna just solo it. Now, this is just my own mentality that I always prefer to play as a group. If you prefer to play completely alone at times, it's completely respected, but don't feel like if you're gonna hop in and out quickly that you're somehow burdening those in the group. Feel free to join, even if it's just for one match. You know, jump on TS, see if anybody else is on.
And the second thing I would again like to offer, just for emergency, like when we are in the middle of a CW drop and the NGNG gets down, to offer my TeamSpeak server as emergency, so I will post the address to you. Feel free to put it to your favorites. That's it.
John, would you be able to stick around for a few minutes more?
Yeah, I guess.
Let me. A lot of you guys that were here during Typhus, Turkon, and I's long chats to smaller groups, we have reformatted the room structure here. Some of you already know how it works, but I'll go over it again because we have a lot here, and it's becoming more and more critical. First, it's pretty clear the CW drop rooms is where we play CW. If you're not playing CW, don't use those rooms. TAC chat rooms are for tactical, competitive intent gameplay. When you're in a TAC chat room, you should be expected to bring good builds and follow teamwork. And there should always be a drop lead. If there's not a proper drop lead in there, step up. Somebody should always be leading that group. Notice that one of them is labeled Alpha Lance is 4-man drops only. That's serious. If you see 4 guys in there playing, do not try to join their group and make it bigger. You could drop in and say, hey guys, do you want to form a bigger group? But do not expect the right to entry to that 4-man group. It's because they want to play as a Lance and as a Lance only. If you'd like to play bigger than that, use Bravo Lance room. That can be any size of group, but once again, you're expected to play tactically with teamwork and meta-mechs. We then have the casual rooms. Here is where you can run whatever you want. You can run without a drop lead if you want, though, if you want to drop lead, ask, see if anybody's opposed. If not, sure, play with the drop lead, play with whatever mechs you want. Be aware, if you drop into casual, you are not to complain if you're losing, because people go in there well aware that they're running subpar and may lose. They may lose every single game. So no rage, please. Likewise, don't go into a casual drop trying to make them get tactical. Don't go into a tac room trying to be casual. If you go into a tac room and you drag the team down, you may be asked to leave. It can be harsh. Hopefully it won't come to that, but it may happen. Just keep the rooms, use them for what they're intended for. This will help alleviate a lot of our problems where people are feeling pressured to do something they don't want to do.
Okay. We're at an hour and a half.
I got one thing, guys, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know, it's this guy again. No, and it's just about commenting on applications. Please, guys, make sure you're putting a +1 or a -1. We still have some guys that come in and say great things, but they don't indicate with a plus or a minus. And a lot of times we're not going to count it unless that is actually there. Sometimes I feel nice, and if it's, positive, I'll just assume it's a +1. But if you're commenting at the end of your comment, it should be a +1 or a -1. And I know some guys like to come in and, seems okay, blah, 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 but I'm going to withhold my vote. Well, if you're not really ready to vote, it may not really be necessary to post at all yet.
And don't be afraid to
Yes,
negative vote somebody.
Exactly.
If they are a bad player, this is just honest truth. If they can't break 100 damage for most of their matches, and I mean a good player, a decent player, the kind we're looking for, really should be breaking high 200s, 300s every match, preferably. I know we can't ask that of everybody. Sometimes you die quickly. But if you're seeing someone that consistently deals under 100, they may not be ACES level yet.
Right, and also though, please take in consideration that sometimes we get absolutely green players who are new to this game. They've been playing a week, so when it comes to damage, I personally give more leeway on guys like that. But if somebody comes in, they say, I've been playing for ever, and I'm seeing that kind of damage. Yeah, that makes me think. And also, a lot of us are just not good at getting into comment on the applications at all. I can't remember what applicant it was, but obviously I'm not doing CW. But I come in, I look up, and I see an applicant, and he's playing in CW. So, by sometime tomorrow, I go and look at that person's application. There are no new comments. The next day, same applicant playing CW with 12 guys. I give it another 24 hours, go back in, and there's still no comments on the application. And that's a guy who's played CW 2 days in a row with at least, somewhere between 12 and 24 different aces, and there's no comments on the application. Please pay attention when you're playing with an applicant and give your 2 cents.
Okay. No more questions. I would ask that we close down the recording.
All right, so I will be posting this online. So thank you, everyone. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for showing up. Again, just thank you. We'll try to work on stuff, especially stuff you gave suggestions and fixes for. I just want to say, again, I can't say it enough. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. You guys are what actually make aces and make us what we are, which is a well-respected unit in the MechWeir community. And without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do anything like that. So again, thank you on behalf of myself and all the unit leaders, and keep up the good job.
My tactics.